Let me start by saying something I know a lot of you are feeling right now. Confusion, fear, maybe even anger. You're scrolling through your phone, seeing headlines that say, DHS is pausing immigration from 20 more countries. Or you're hearing from family or friends that the US is shutting its doors to people from certain nations, and your heart sinks. You're asking yourself, is this real? Does this affect me? Am I going to be stopped at the border? Will I get deported? Can I still bring my family here? I want you to take a deep breath. I'm here to help you understand exactly what's going on, not with speculation, not with rumors, but with verified information, clear facts, and the kind of guidance that can actually help you make the right decisions. My name is James, and I'm a professional immigration news analyst with Immigration News Today. And today, we're talking about the real story behind the headlines. The recent DHS announcement about immigration pauses, what it means, who it affects, what's actually changed, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to protect your immigration status and your future. Now let's be absolutely clear from the start. There has been no official nationwide pause on immigration from 20 additional countries issued by the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, as of the latest public updates. What we are seeing, and what has caused a lot of the alarm, is a combination of draft policy discussions, internal memos, proposed security measures, and media reports that have been misunderstood or taken out of context. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means we have to be very careful about what we believe and, more importantly, what we act on. Immigration law does not change overnight. Real changes require official announcements, published federal regulations, or binding court orders. And none of those have been issued in connection with a mass pause on immigration from 20 countries. So if you've seen a headline that says DHS halts immigration from 20 nations, or if someone told you the US is no longer accepting immigrants from certain regions, I need you to pause, take a step back, and let's go through what's actually true, what's still under discussion, and what you need to know to stay informed and protected. First, let's talk about where this story is coming from. Over the past few weeks, there have been internal discussions and draft proposals within the Department of Homeland Security and related agencies regarding enhanced immigration screening measures for individuals coming from certain countries that are considered high risk for security concerns, visa overstays, or lack of cooperation in accepting deportees. These discussions are part of the government's ongoing effort to balance national security with the legal right to seek asylum and immigration. Now, some of these discussions have included the idea of increased vetting, additional documentation requirements, or temporary restrictions on certain visa types, such as tourist visas, student visas, or refugee processing, for nationals of specific countries. But, and this is very important, none of these proposals have been finalized. None have been publicly announced as official DHS policy, and none currently restrict general immigration from 20 specific countries as a group. Let me repeat that. There is no official list of 20 countries from which immigration has been paused. What we are seeing are individual measures being considered for individual countries, often based on specific intelligence, diplomatic relations, or migration trends. For example, some countries may be under closer scrutiny for visa fraud, high rates of asylum claim withdrawals, or difficulties in cooperating with deportation orders. That might lead to increased interviews, longer processing times, or additional evidence requirements for people applying from those places. But it does not mean that immigration is paused or banned outright. It means the process might be more rigorous, and that's something we need to take seriously. Not because it's a ban, but because it could affect how your application is processed, how long you have to wait, or what documents you need to provide. Now, let's talk about who this could affect. If you are a visa applicant, whether you're applying for a tourist visa, a student visa, a work visa, or a family-based immigrant visa, and you're from a country that's currently under additional scrutiny, you may experience longer wait times, more detailed interview questions, or requests for extra documentation. That's not new. These kinds of measures have been used in the past for countries experiencing conflict, political instability, or high levels of visa misuse. But if you're already in the United States legally, as a green card holder, a DACA recipient, a refugee, or someone with a valid visa, there is no indication at this time that your status is at immediate risk due to these discussions. That said, it's always a good idea to stay informed, keep your documents up to date, and avoid making assumptions based on viral posts or unverified news stories. I want to take a moment here to address something I see all the time, and it's this: the belief that if a country is mentioned in a government report or a news article, it means immigration from that entire country is being stopped. That is not how immigration policy works. The United States immigration system is incredibly complex, and decisions are almost never made on a blanket, country-by-country basis without clear justification, legal process, and public notice. When the government considers changes, whether it's increased screening, additional vetting, or changes to visa processing, those changes are typically targeted, specific, and based on measurable criteria. They are also almost always announced through official channels like the Federal Register, USCIS policy memos, or public statements from DHS or the State Department. So if you haven't seen an official announcement, if you haven't read the actual policy text, and if the only place you've heard about a pause is on social media or in a headline, then you should approach that information with caution. Now let's talk about what you can do to protect yourself, your family, and your immigration journey, starting today. First, always rely on official government sources for your immigration information. That means checking the USCIS website, the Department of State's travel.state.gov portal, and official DHS announcements. These are the only places where you will find accurate, binding information about visa processing, immigration status, and policy changes. Second, if you're applying for a visa or immigration benefit, make sure your application is complete, accurate, and supported by the right documentation. That includes things like your passport, your birth certificate, your police clearance, your financial statements, and any other evidence required for your specific visa type. If you're not sure what you need, or if your situation is complicated, for example, if you've had a visa refusal in the past, or if you're applying from a country that's currently under additional scrutiny, then it is absolutely worth consulting a licensed immigration attorney. A good attorney can help you understand the real risks, avoid common mistakes, and present your case in the strongest possible way. I also want to remind you that achieving permanent residency or U.S. citizenship offers the strongest protection against sudden policy changes. While no immigration status is completely immune to government action, green card holders and U.S. citizens are generally in a much safer position when it comes to travel restrictions, visa denials, or sudden shifts in immigration enforcement. If you're eligible to apply for a green card through family, employment, or asylum, or if you're on the path to citizenship, then now is a good time to focus on that process. Stay consistent, and make sure you're meeting all your legal obligations along the way. That includes maintaining your status, filing your taxes, renewing your documents on time, and avoiding any actions that could be seen as violating immigration rules, like working without authorization or traveling without the proper paperwork. Now let's talk about some of the most common misinformation I've seen circulating around this topic. One of the biggest misconceptions is that the U.S. government is banning immigration from entire regions or religions. That's simply not true, and it hasn't been true for decades. Another false claim is that DHS has a secret list of countries from which immigration is no longer allowed. Again, there is no such official list, and any claims about a ban on 20 countries should be met with extreme skepticism unless they come directly from a verified government source. I've also seen people claiming that their visas have been automatically canceled or that they're no longer allowed to travel. But unless you've received an official notification from USCIS, CBP, or the State Department, those claims are not based in fact. The best way to protect yourself from misinformation is to slow down, check your sources, and remember that immigration policy changes, when they happen, are almost always public, documented, and explained in detail. Let's also talk about what's not changing. At least, not yet. As of today, the United States continues to accept immigrant and non-immigrant visas from all over the world, subject to normal processing times, security checks, and eligibility requirements. Refugees and asylum seekers are still able to apply for protection under U.S. and international law, although those processes have become more complex in recent years due to global migration trends and backlogs. Work visas, student visas, and family-based immigration petitions are still being processed every day, but again, the processing times may vary depending on your country of origin, the type of visa, and current caseloads. None of that has changed overnight, and none of it is likely to change without clear public notice. So, what should you do if you're feeling anxious or uncertain about your immigration status or your future plans? First, don't panic. Immigration policy evolves, but it does so through legal processes, public debate, and official announcements. Second, stay informed using trusted sources. That means following reputable immigration news outlets, checking official government websites, and listening to experts who base their advice on facts, not fear. Third, if you're unsure about your personal situation, talk to a professional. Whether that's an immigration attorney, an accredited representative, or a trusted nonprofit organization, getting the right guidance can make all the difference. And finally, remember that you're not alone. Millions of people go through the immigration process every year, and while it's not always easy, it is possible, especially when you have accurate information and the right support. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you of something very important. This video is for general informational purposes only and is not a substitute for personalized legal advice. Immigration law is complex, and your situation may have unique factors that require professional guidance. Always consult with a licensed immigration attorney or accredited representative if you have specific questions about your case. Thank you for watching this video. I know these topics can feel overwhelming, but my goal is to give you clarity, confidence, and the facts you need to make informed decisions. If you found this information helpful, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Immigration News Today, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And if you have questions about your own immigration situation, or if there's a topic you'd like us to cover next, leave a comment below. I read every single one, and I'm here to help. Together, we can cut through the noise, understand the real changes, and navigate the immigration system with knowledge, strength, and hope. See you in the next video.